What's going on, everybody? This is your boys again. Top of the Key podcast live in effect on a Friday night. Coming
Yep.
to y'all. Talk a little basketball, talk a little trash, whatever. You know how we do. So, beside me tonight is my man, Coach Dante. Coach Dante, what's going on?
Hey, man, that's just fun. I just seen you a couple not even 20 minutes ago, man. But it's good to be on the show with y'all, man. Like I say, every Friday in the con man. I gotta get an invite back to the con man. So I'm just happy to be on here, man, for NBA basketball, man, with y'all.
And up here over to the side, boom, put him in the captain's chair on the screen tonight. Con man himself, con man, what it do?
Hey, yo, what's up, fellas, man? Looking forward to tonight. Let's talk some NBA. I'm glad to be part of this group. You know, I love y'all, man. We're going to do the damn thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we got a couple of comments here. So we got John Suggs told us that San Diego State was going to get the W, and now waiting to see if Miami can pull off this win. Fair enough. Fair enough. Because, hey, you know why? Even though we top of the key NBA, why that matters? Some of these cats going to be in the league next year and the year after that. So, hey, let's see it before they get there.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And then we got Michael coming over with a good evening, guys. What's going on, Mike? Appreciate
my
that.
dog. What up?
And then also Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. What's going on with the yo for the fellas tonight? We get live early on tonight. We get a little interactive. You know, I don't know if you noticed or not, but that's what we love on Top of the Key. Talk to us. We ready. We here for it.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
All right. And gentlemen, so last week we were discussing the standings. So we're gonna pick up on that discussion. We did talk about the top three last week. So what we'll do to start off with is, you guys have any thoughts or anything on the top three? We'll start in the East since we started in the West last week. Just any thoughts on your top three teams before we go into the next three and dig into them? And that would be, of course, Milwaukee at 52 and 20, Boston at 50 and 23, and then Philadelphia at 49 and 23.
My thoughts on the top three. Philadelphia. Like I was explaining, on the show earlier. I think that Miami matchup is a dangerous matchup for Philadelphia. Philadelphia can't win that matchup, but Eric Spoelstra, Jimmy Butler, that would be a tough team to play in the playoff. I think Miami is building for the playoffs. Miami is a playoff team. We all know the superhero that Jimmy Butler comes when he gets into the playoffs. He turns into a superhero all of a sudden. Now Tyler Hero's having a great season, having a very good season as well since he got paid. The only thing about Miami, they need to figure out the point guard position. But other than that, Miami is really struggling. They're in the play-in tournament right now. Don't like how they playing. You just fired your head coach, and it still don't seem like you're making a difference. You even gotten worse. You even gotten worse when adding Quentin Snyder. So don't like the Atlanta Hawks. They've been inconsistent all year, hopping back and forth between under 500 or over 500. If they go a game over 500, they'll get back down 500 and lose two straight. Teams like San Antonio, Charlotte, you got to beat those type of teams. If you're if you're the Hawks, you got to beat those type of teams. But they also got some dysfunction in their organization as well. They need to get that cleaned up. Now, Chicago, since they got Patrick Beverley, they've been very good. Chicago has been very good since they got Patrick Beverley. They're on our turn. Toronto, I'm okay with Toronto. I believe in the offseason they're going to unload some of those guys. Be looking forward to OG Anunoby probably in trade talks. In the trade deadline, they will probably be looking to move him in the offseason. Fred VanVleet, who just turned down the contract extension as well, he may be gone next year. So, like I say, for the top two, I think the Milwaukee Bucks and Boston, those are the two teams I can trust in a playoff scenario moment. I think those are the top two that's at the elite. But Philadelphia, I don't think they're elite. I think they're a second round at best and out team. They're in the third seed. They're gonna run into Milwaukee. As of right now, probably in the second round. Milwaukee or Boston in the second round. I think that's where they'll stop at. But I can't overlook if they play Miami. That matchup will be dangerous, especially playoff mode. Miami and Brooklyn just fell off the face of the earth since the trade deadline. The New York Knicks has been playing well, like I mentioned, since they got Josh Hart. So it's only two good elite teams in the Eastern Conference, man, in Boston and Milwaukee. But I like Cleveland. I like the matchup between Cleveland and the New York Knicks. I think the New York Knicks has a solid chance of beating Cleveland because of the playoff experience that they possess. They already been there. But Donovan Mitchell turns into a superhero, turns into Superman in the playoffs. He has a good playoff resume, even though his teams hasn't gotten it done. He has a good playoff resume. So, that's for the Eastern Conference.
Fair enough. So a couple of comments here. So we got Key. What's up, y'all? What's up, Key?
What's up, Key?
And for y'all that don't know, Top of the Key. Key is one of the main reasons the show is named Top of the Key. Absolutely. We had to give a little love to Key because Key did a lot for the Empire. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. So John Suggs asks, do we need to wait till after the March 27th game to see if Embiid truly get the nod for MVP over Joker? I have Embiid, Giannis, then Joker as my top 3 for MVP. So I'm glad you asked this question, John. I have a couple of thoughts on this question. I'm gonna go ahead and get out, and then Kyle, I'll come back to you and let you do your thing, sir. We've heard all year Jokic was in the lead for MVP, and as soon as you say anything about him being a lead for the MVP, don't play defense. He can't score like Embiid. He's not this. He's not that. Right? But why do you really have all these negative things to say about Jokic? How can he be number 3 in anybody's MVP ranking when he's the sole reason that his team is number 1 out west? You take him off this team is in the play-in. This team is fighting for the 10th seed. But we don't want to give him any love as a perennial MVP candidate. Why? Because it had the same amount of stats. So for those of you who may have went left with this amalgamation of what the MVP award is, let's just say the true core is the most valuable player. That's the name of it. So to me, the most valuable player is a player who makes his team better. Doesn't matter if he only scores 15 points a game. If his team cannot be successful, if you remove him from the equation, then he's the most valuable player. I hope Nikola Jokic does not win MVP this year, even though he's deserving, so that all the doubters, all the haters, all the people who are upset because he's won 2 years in a row, both deserving MVPs, can let it go. I understand we don't want him in rarefied air, even though he's averaging a triple-double. That's not good enough for some people. That doesn't show enough versatility. He's great. He's getting you over 10 rebounds a game. He's getting you like 25 a game. He's getting you 10 assists a game. That's still not enough for people to want this man to be MVP. And that's okay. Maybe it has something to do with the style of play. Maybe it has something to do with the way he looks. Maybe it's a combination of both. And that's fine. But let's look outside the person and give the man credit for what he does for his team. That's all I'm going to say about Jokic. I don't think the matchup matters. If Joel Embiid goes out there and scores 40 points and Jokic scores 5 points, that's a game. That doesn't mean the MVP. Because Embiid beat Jokic head-to-head does not make him the better MVP candidate. It's not how it works. That's what people want to do, but that's not how it works. All right, and then we got another comment from Key. She says, Con, Cool, and Coach, the 3 C's. Only Key. Only you, Key. Only
I like
you.
That. I like that.
So Melvin Wall asks, why does averaging a triple-double equal MVP? It does not. Why does averaging 35 points equal MVP? Why does beating somebody head-to-head equal MVP? It doesn't make him the MVP. It doesn't make him not the MVP. So this is the weak argument that you try to make, Melvin. He didn't deserve the MVP sitting in the 6th seed last year. Why? Because he had no other talent around him. He still took his team out of the play-in game.
And got a 1 game at that.
And got a game against the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs. He doesn't get the regular season MVP. He wasn't the most valuable player in the league last year.
One was his second best player on the team, literally.
You can't name him. So here's the thing: you want to try to make this argument based on the seeding. That's a poor argument. Use the stats, use his win shares, use all the things that show how much he mattered to the team. But you don't want to do that. Oh, elite on offense, elite on defense, and team success does not equal MVP. Being the best player on your team makes in the league and the most valuable to your specific team makes you the MVP. So you're going to try to say Aaron Gordon is a guy. Yeah, I don't even know what you're trying to say with the Aaron Gordon thing. I'm not even going to touch it. I'll let someone else say that. I'm going to say this. Who is the last MVP that you can name me that was a lead on offense and defense the year they won the MVP? I don't care about the stigma around them. I'm talking about the year they won the MVP. That's what I want you to explain to me, Mr. Wall. And then John says, so did Steve Nash earn it 1 year? Steve Nash was named the MVP. I don't vote on the MVP, but he was named the MVP. But what I don't like for people to do, and this is in regards to all the previous MVPs, not just my guy or anybody. So Embiid's number 2 quit on his team. He didn't have his guy either. His guy quit on his team. And you still had more talent around Joel Embiid last year than Nikola Jokic had. And if you want to try to dispute that, go pull up the rosters and then tell me that Embiid didn't have more talent on the Philadelphia 76ers. And if you want to tell me that Ben Simmons was ever considered Embiid's number 2, then we have a bigger problem than just who should have been the MVP. We have a much bigger problem. To say Ben Simmons has ever been anything other than soft is a joke to the game of basketball in any form. But comment, I mean, if one of you guys want to respond to Melvin or any comments,
Tobias Harris ain't talented when he's a very good third option. James Harden is not one of the best top shooting guards in the league that can just be a combo guard. Tyrese Maxey is not a 20-point per game scorer, right? So you talking about compared to what Jokic had last year. Aaron Gordon, who's the second best player on the team. You had Will Barton, who's inconsistent as hell on the team. Monte Morris, who's okay but not great player. Those Jokic players in that team still got into the playoffs. Gary Harris injured all the time, who they traded away. You got Jaron Reed, who doesn't play a minute, but had played in the playoff at some. That was Jokic's team right there. And that team still became a 6th seed just because of him and didn't have his 2 best players in the playoffs and still won a playoff game because of Nikola Jokic. The reason why they beat the Golden State Warriors, why they even had a chance in the playoffs.
So Melvin says he got Harden in February. His team was already one of the top teams in the East with just Embiid. You clearly are delusional, Melvin. I mean, it's in the nicest way possible.
Tobias Harris averaged 20 points.
He just sit here and told you all the other guys.
19. Maxey and Harris both averaged 20 points. So how is Joel Embiid? You take away Harden, the team's still a playoff team with Maxey emerging and Tobias Harris. If he's not a third option, the team still is good.
So we'll go with Michael Simial's comment here. Merriam-Webster unabridged definition of most valuable player, the player who contributes the most to his or her team's success. That doesn't matter because he's not as good defensively as Embiid. I mean, Melvin, if you want to say, what does Jokic do on defense? Anything? Jokic does do something on defense. He gets rebounds. He alters shots. He gets steals. These are all things that defensive players do. Does he get blocks? He does get some blocks. Does he get blocks to the level of Embiid? No, he doesn't. No one's ever said that he's a defensive juggernaut. But the last time that I checked, and I watch a lot of NBA basketball, multiple teams, a lot of teams, including the 76ers. The last time that I checked, Joel Embiid does not block every shot that comes down the goal. Joel Embiid does not stop every player from scoring the basketball. He gets scored on, dunked on, just like everybody else the last time that I checked. If I'm missing something, please inform me. I don't know if you guys see something different, but I see a guy who does play defense at times, but he gets to work just like everybody else. He's not the god of defense. He's not the Kimbe Mutombo down there shaking his finger every time somebody comes down the lane. We're not getting that from Embiid. So let's not pretend that Embiid is the god of defense, because that's not what we're getting. Let's be objectionable here and say, yeah, Embiid does play better defensively. He's more athletically talented. So, of course, defenses decide where that's going to show up. I'm never going to argue that. But to take the skills that you have and maximize them and put your team on your back for 2 years and get them into the playoffs. And in the year before that, contrary to everyone's foolish popular belief, they did win a series and get to the second round. So they have been to the second round, the same round that the 76ers can't get out of. They've been there in the last 2 years. So there's a lot going on between the two teams. The issue that I have is that in order to try to make a case to where one person should be MVP, people want to tear down the other person.
Yep. And
Giannis,
I do want to say one more thing.
Go ahead, sir.
Cool. Now, if you want to, now, like I say, I do have Joel Embiid as an MVP, but I do not take away the credit that how good Jokic is and how great he is. And Jokic is just as good as Embiid. So if you want to start tearing down Embiid, I mean Jokic, and saying why is he not getting out of the first round? He has a Western Conference Finals appearance. He has a Western Conference Finals appearance. He has a second round appearance. So if you're going to do that to Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid has not been out of the second round. He has never been out of the second round. Can you keep the same energy for Joel Embiid? Yes, he's great, but he's not good enough to get this team out the second round, while Jokic got this team into the Western Conference Finals. So, hey, got to keep that same energy towards Embiid. Don't want to bash Jokic. Embiid can't get out the second round of the playoffs.
John asked a good question and comment. I know we're going off the rails a little bit. I know
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm enjoying this. I'm good.
So John Suggs asked, with the Bucks being top 5 if Giannis is not on that team? We actually talked about this a little bit before we got on. I think we had a consensus that they would be around 5 or 6 without Giannis, just because of how well everyone else has played this season. But I think the sheer veracity with which Giannis plays, he always makes that team better, right? And that's why I think no matter how you want to slice him, right? You want to put Jokic at third. Like, I don't think you should, but maybe it's a little bit of personal opinion. You seem kind of had I got it. But those are your 3 guys, right? As of right now, Tatum has fallen out of that race. We know KD's done hurt himself warming up, so he out the race because he in street clothes half the time too. And a lot of other guys have been chilling in their street clothes, including LeBron, right? He's been part of that street clothes brigade lately too. So a lot of those guys are out. So I think these are the 3 guys. It's just a matter of who. Down the stretch matters a lot to who is the guy that wins. And that's just, that. So Mr. Melvin Wall, who definitely is a Philadelphia 76ers fan because of the way he's attacking Nikola Jokic, only 76ers fans do this. So Melvin Wall is definitely a 76ers fan. Aaron Gordon, he says 15 points per game. Will Barton, 15 points per game. Monte Morris, 13 points per game. 2 bench players contribute 10 points a game. So let's add that up. 15 and 15 is what, 30 points a game, right? You add another 13 to that, that's 43. You add 10 more to that's 53, 10 more to that's 63. So the last time that I checked, most NBA games, you need to score 100 points to win, just as a baseline. So we're talking about getting 63 points from 5 players. And that's the argument why he should be MVP, because he averaged 63 points for 5 players.
Half of those points are created by Nikola Jokic. Those points are created by Nikola Jokic, who down the average a triple-double. So if you want to bring up their points, half of those points was credit to Nikola Jokic finding them and giving them the ball.
All right, so he says Jokic plays zero defense. False. Embiid is a tip 6, maybe you mean top, shot blocker, rim protector that stops a man on defense and can switch screens and guard the perimeter. He's an elite defender and an elite offensive player. Jokic is an elite offensive player only. Value on offense and defense trumps value on offense only. Case closed. So only half of your statement is right. You don't get blocks if you play zero defense. You don't get steals if you play zero defense. So actually, false statements. Do your research. Look up the numbers first. Don't just go off what you hear on the media. Once you do that, then we can actually have a conversation about the actual true stats and not what you're trying to make it out to be. So that's what we're going to say about that. And that's case closed, Melvin. You say you're not a 76ers fan. You're sure acting like one. So maybe you're a closet 76ers fan. But now that we've saw that Melvin and his incorrect assessment, true assessment of Embiid, completely incorrect assessment of Jokic, who does get blocks, who does get steals, who does get defensive rebounds. If you do zero on defense, you don't get any of those things. Zero defense means you do nothing on defense, which means you stand around and you don't get any stats. That's not true. So we already know that that's false information. And there's another category that you don't mention because you know if you mention that category, is going to lean toward Jokic, which is assists, which is another part of basketball. It's not scoring. It's setting your teammates up and making your teammates better, giving them the opportunity to get easy plays, and being a selfless player. Versatility. That's something that Jokic definitely has advantage. And I notice you haven't mentioned that, and I know why you haven't mentioned that because that does not go the way of Joel Embiid. Your argument is trying to tear down one player to build up the other, which is what most people do. That's what the LeBron Jordan debate is. That's what the Kobe LeBron, Kobe Jordan, whoever debate is. What I'd like to see people do again is actually speak the merits of both players, give a fair assessment of both players, and then say, this is why, based on this assessment, I feel like one is better than the other. What you're doing is what the media is telling you and what you want to believe because you want one person to be the winner. So that's that. And are you saying Jokic is a good defender? I'm saying Jokic is not a zero defender. That's what you said. That's what I'm saying. Jokic is not a zero defender. You said he was zero. So on to the next subject, as Melvin clearly wants to Freddie the show. We're not going to allow that on top of the key. Con-Man, we were coming over to you, sir. And your thoughts on the top three teams in the East.
All right, y'all, man. I sat back and I heard y'all talk. And like you said, we were talking about the East. So I don't know how Denver and the MVP part came on that realm. But I'm glad that people are tuning in. That shows we have an interesting show. And that's the bottom line, number one. So I'm glad that people are tuning in and giving their opinion, whether it be right or wrong. But cool, prior to us going on the show, you hit me up, you straightened me up. You say, hey, look, where would Denver be without Jokic? Case closed. It's a wrap. Simple as that. So I think that's enough said. I think a lot of the problem given with Denver is that, at least on East Coast, they're not seen as much on TV. So we don't get to see the greatness of Jokic. We don't get to see it. So therefore, at the end of the day, this is my personal opinion about it, and I'll go back to the top three. MVP, that's all cool. We can all debate, whatever, But ain't that cool that we have three people that we can debate with? That shows how good the NBA is. You know what I mean? So I think it's good. It's good to talk about, debate, and discuss. That makes the game so much better that, there is no one outstanding. They're all great at what they do. And I think they all deserve consideration. But at the end of the day, like my man Magic, who's going to win the chip? To me, that's the most important thing.
That's all that really matters.
At the end of the day, we can debate who's the MVP. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to, because you look back, they're not going to remember who the MVP was in 2013, but they'll remember who won the championship.
Yeah, so that's where I get the MVP of the finals. They'll remember that. Yes, sir. You are correct.
Exactly. Yes, sir. Exactly. My point. Now, getting back to your top three. Philadelphia right now, they're on the road. They're 9-1 in the last 10 games. And he's playing out his mind. He's playing out his...
He definitely is. I think he's playing himself into the MVP the way he's playing.
Yes, and because I'm out here in Boston area, New Bedford, Mass, to be exact, I get to see a lot of the East Coast teams a lot, frequently. Mm-hmm. And I'm watching Philadelphia play. James Harden took a lot of verbal abuse, came in overweight, all the problems he had with Houston, then going to the Brooklyn Nets, then going to Philadelphia. And he seems like he's playing back into somewhat of his old self. I think Milwaukee, we already know, they are tough. They added a lot of people to their team that makes them even better. I think The additions they made have made them stronger. They're going to be a tough team to contend with. The Celtics, because of the addition of Brogdon, they're playing better, and they're tough. The question is Philadelphia. That's my question. I think Philadelphia, to me, is under the gun so much because I think if they don't get over the hump this year, that whole team's going to be breaking apart. I think they're going to lose Doc Rivers. I think so much is imperative that they take that next step up to where they can at least get over the hump with the Celtics or Milwaukee. And now, as Coach said, right now it looks like they could probably be playing Miami Heat. That's going to be a tough call. Miami Heat, I think they're playing well. They're playing better. They still haven't had Lowry yet. He's been out injured. When he comes back, he's going to provide security, some sense of stability because he has all that knowledge and he's been there during the rough times. And Jimmy Beast, a beast. But I think that right now my main concern is with Philadelphia. We already know what the Celtics are going to do. We already know what Milwaukee's going to do. What is Philadelphia going to do? And that's my main concern. I think that they have the weapons, they have the ability to succeed, but they haven't reached their potential. And I think the Celtics made it to the finals last year. Milwaukee Bucks, if they end up previous world champions, but what has Philadelphia done? To me, that's where the importance lies, is what are they going to do this year? So as far as the top three, as we were talking about in the East, my main concern is Philadelphia.
Fair enough. They're very interested in seeing that. So let me go ahead and send the link so I can join and finish cooking you. Bro, I'm still raw meat if you think you cooked anybody, little man. Let me tell you something here.
I don't think that'd be a good move, Melvin. I think you better chill out.
Yeah, let me tell you something here, Melvin. You want to sit in your comments where you can hide behind your keyboard and tap. You don't want to have to get up here and actually prove what you're saying. So I'm gonna let you live today because you don't know any better. I will read your other comment here. In 75 years of the NBA, there's only been one person that has been the primary scorer and primary distributor in one arena that same year. That's LeBron James. He had to form a super team to do it. Plus, he played great defense. Jokic does not have a super team, nor does he play any defense. This play style is dead end. Harden, Westbrook, Jokic, Luka. So, just to quickly respond to your comment, and again, he's begging for a link. Not gonna do it to you tonight because we have other things to talk about. You can, maybe we'll set up a week where you can come on and spew your nonsense, but we actually have other things to talk about this week. But so here's the thing about your comments. Jokic doesn't have a super team, but he has a team that is complete around him. We yet to know what Jokic's team is going to do in the playoffs. We yet to know what any team is going to do in the playoffs until we get there. But what we do know is this is a team that 2 years ago when it was whole before Jamal Murray got hurt, when they made the Aaron Gordon trade to shore up the defense, to have that, another good, strong primary defender in the starting lineup, or that could come off the bench, kind of that versatile role, that they were looking like the team to beat in the NBA, not just the West. Injuries happen. That's derailed the team for a little while. So we're going to get, hopefully, that complete team, and hopefully we'll get LeBron back. Hopefully AD will stay healthy. Hopefully Durant will be back. Because what we want as a fan of the NBA is you want every team to be as close to healthy as possible so that we can get the best games and the best series as possible throughout the season.
Absolutely. So
we can do that. We'll be sitting in a good place. As far as you and your steak cooking, still raw meat, bro. So, enjoy the show. Maybe you'll learn something from us and stop your biases and actually do your research first. So just stay tuned and we'll help you out. All right. So my thoughts on the West, on the standings for the East, I think you guys pretty much nailed it. 76ers are the team that's the most interesting. If they can put it together, because they have the center, they have the players. I think, Conman, you are correct in that you're going to have to make some changes if this team can't get over the hump. That you're going to have to look at maybe removing some pieces, trading some pieces, getting some other pieces in. Obviously, Embiid is going to be the guy you're going to build a team around. There's been some rumors, and I know Coach does not want to hear this, but there's been a lot of rumblings about Harden maybe wanting to go back to Houston. So we'll see if that plays out, if he ends up somewhere else, or what happens if that team is not able to get out over that hump and at least get past the second round, which could be hard because you're gonna have to play Milwaukee or Boston in the second round. So yeah, that's my top three in the East. So since we're on the East, we can go ahead and talk about that next three, the guys that are above the play-in line right now, and that's Cleveland, New York, and Miami. So, comment, we're going to start with you this time since me and Coach Dante have kind of been, responding a lot in the comments, and you've been more chill on that. What do you think about Cleveland, New York, and Miami?
Very interesting. I watch a lot of the sports shows, and Stephen A. is very upset because the Knicks should have had a couple opportunities where they could have got Donovan Mitchell. So he's going off in the air about that, which is kind of interesting. But the Cleveland Cavaliers, I think, with their youth, I think that they have a great team in the future as well. I think by them getting rid of Kevin Love I think it has enhanced Mobley because now he has a lot more. He don't have to be looking over his back. He know he gonna do his damn thing. Ain't got to worry about nothing. And as you can see, he's shining right now. They won 3 in a row. I think they're playing very well. They got Mitchell. Garland is a beast. I like their team. They're fun. They're exciting. They're bringing some type of excitement to the city of Cleveland that they haven't had since LeBron left. And I think they're a team to be dealt with. They're enjoyable to watch. Mitchell is a 6 foot. I don't know what he plays like. He's 6'10". The way he plays, he's a phenomenal athlete. The way he can shoot the perimeter shot, he can penetrate, and the way they all seem like to get along with each other. I mean, it seems like they're all about getting that ring or getting better. And I think they're going to be a team to be reckoned with in the future. As far as the Knicks are concerned, I'm glad we're talking about that because let me tell you something real quick, y'all. Evan Fournier, they paid a whole lot of money for him to go to the Knicks. Derrick Rose, whole lot of money played for the Knicks. And Derrick Rose played for Thibodeau in Chicago where he got his MVP. I'm sure y'all know that. And now they can't even get off the bench. They're not getting any minutes, which is kind of intriguing to me. But, the Knicks are playing pretty well, although they lost 3 in a row. And their last 10 games, they're 4-6. But they're intriguing. Brunson's been out. He's been injured. I think Randall, we're going to talk about, most improved player later on. But I think Randall, even though he has a crazy attitude, I think that he brings that fire and spark. And you know something? At the end of the day, we talked about last week. We talked about game management, time management, management load, whatever the hell you want to call it. My man's played every damn game. My man's played every damn game. You got to give him props. He's played every damn game. He goes out there and gives his best. So I think that means a lot to me because of all the, these athletes taking days off. And I'm so fed up with that, man. I played 30 years and I never wanted to miss a damn game, although I wasn't making $40 million. I'm making about $40. I never wanted to miss no damn game. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just keeping it real. Miami Heat, I like Miami Heat. I like them. I just think they need a little bit more help as far as having rim protectors. I don't know if they have the wherewithal to do as well as they've been known to do in the past. I'm a little nervous about Miami. I mean, I don't know what happened with Robinson. Does anybody know? Is he still on the team? I don't even know. He got that big contract.
Duncan Robinson's still there. Well, I mean, they ain't many Titans.
He might be sitting right next to me. I don't even see him. So I don't know what's going on with. I don't know what's going on with that. But Miami, Jimmy B's playing out of his mind lately. I enjoy the way he's playing right now. But again, I think if I had to go, I would go with Cleveland as better than the Knicks and Miami Heat right now. I think they got the youth. I think they got a great coach. I think that they're going to be a team that's going to be difficult to reckon with. I think whoever gets them in the first round, they're going to have a problem. There's going to be a problem. I really am enjoying watching them play. Again, being on the East Coast, I get to see them play a lot. All these teams in Cleveland has impressed me a lot. And you can remember at the beginning of the year, they had some injuries. People were out, but they seem like they're getting healthy, and they're going to be a team to be dealt with. So as far as those next three, cool, I'm on road with Cleveland Cavaliers. That's 47-28 right now. I like the way, and also, which y'all, I don't know if y'all mentioned, Cleveland is 29-8 at home. So if they get home court advantage, watch out. And if you look at the Knicks, 20-17 at home, and Miami Heat is 25-13 at home, and then you got Cleveland 29-8. So that might play a part in what's going to transpire in the playoff situation.
Definitely. Coach Dante, what you got?
Like I said, I got I think like I don't think Philadelphia is an elite team. I think even though they do got Joel Embiid and James Harden, Tobias Harris is now basically almost a fourth option because you got Tyrese Maxey who can fill it up as well. Tobias Harris is the one key that everybody's forgotten about since they added James Harden, and now Tyrese Maxey has emerged. But again, when you enter a 7-game series with a team that has experience and a teams that have tendencies adjust throughout the whole 7-game series, that could be a problem. And James Harden has the tendencies not showing up in the playoffs, so that's one less option that they take away that doesn't show up in the playoffs. So at the end of the day, I think Boston and Milwaukee are totally better teams, and they're going to see they're going to stay third. I think they're going to stay third. Well, they can still get second. They can still get second because they're only 2 games out of the win column from Boston. They can get second. But either way, if they get finished second or third, they still ended up playing Boston. And we already know how they play versus Boston, especially in the regular season. Yes, again, we'll say, Dante, it's just the regular season. Well, we don't want me to remind you, this goes way back to the regular season. Since Jason Tatum rookie year, they were knocked out of the second round against what team? Boston Celtics in 6 games. All right. The very next year, I believe that was the COVID year. That was with Kyrie. That was with Kyrie Irving. When they first. That was the Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum rookie year. That was the Kyrie Irving year when they were knocked out. Kyrie Irving didn't play. So okay, let's go back to the very next year when they got Kawhi Leonard went to Toronto. You were knocked out at that time in 6 games, even though it took a great shot to knock you out. Let's go to the year when Philadelphia had the best record in the league, 61-21. Yes, Ben Simmons got hurt, but guess what? You had an old Kemba Walker who was declining, who was no more the same in Boston. When they got him, everybody thought Kemba Walker was a good pickup because he was just coming off a year in Charlotte. In Charlotte, let him walk. And Kemba Walker hasn't been there all year long with bad knees. Let's go back. Let's go to that year when you got swept up out of the playoffs in the bubble season. You got swept up out of the playoffs in embarrassing fashion. So after that year, let's go back again. Let's go back again, on and on again. When you played Boston, the same team again, you got put out. And let's go back last year when you played Miami and got put out. It got put out. So other than that, it's the same thing keep happening to Philadelphia. So we can sit up here and see how great they is, and we know how great Joel Embiid is, and we know it's not his fault that other guys don't show up. But if you want an indictment on Jokic and saying if he's so great, why he can't get his team past the second round? Oh, he's been past the second round. He's been to the Western Conference Finals and played the Lakers. He's been to the second round matchup, especially last year. He got about the second round, even though they did get beat by Phoenix Suns, but he has made it past the second round into the Western Conference Finals. He had something Joel Embiid hasn't made past yet. So if you want to put an indictment on that, let's put an indictment still on Joel Embiid, why his team can't get out the second round, even though it's not his fault. But that's still an indictment on him that he can be great. But then again, he hasn't been anywhere farther than the Eastern Conference Finals. So other than that, not sold on Philadelphia. Like I said, I think I like the Cleveland and New York Knicks series. I like that series. Cleveland, they can be tough at home, like Comment said. but I like the experience of Josh Hart being on that team with the New York Knicks. Jalen Brunson, they played together at Villanova. Y'all know that.
That's big time.
Yes.
Yep. Tom Thibodeau, who preaches defense, started playing more of the young guys. And Evan Fournier, they did pay a lot of money. Now I think the organization said, "Hey, we made a damn mistake on paying this guy that money, knowing he don't play no damn defense on the court." So they did make a mistake on that. They realized it. They set him down. They put Quinn Grimes in, who's a better defensive player and who's also a very good 3-point shooter. So good credit to Tom Thibodeau playing the young guys, knowing who he plays on the floor, playing the right rotations, and his team is also playing defense. But again, like I say, I mentioned Atlanta. Again, they the same damn up and down team that we saw all year long. They fired the coach. They begged to get Tom Thibodeau out. Trae Young wanted Tom Thibodeau out. Now you get an even upgrade in Quinn Snyder, who changed the Utah organization around. But it's the same damn stuff over and over. The team probably got worse. If you want to be a playoff team, you can't lose to Charlotte and San Antonio. You can't lose to those type of teams that are rebuilding. You can't do that. You can't lose a team like the Houston Rockets. You can't lose to teams like that if you're going to be a playoff team. So it's the same stuff when you got Quinn Snyder, but worse. It's worse. So the firing of Nate McMillan, it didn't get you anywhere because the team hasn't not improved at all. The team got worse, and they lost to San Antonio and Charlotte. So the team, that proves to you the team got worse. But other than that, man, I think it's some great matchups in the Eastern Conference. Especially, I'm gonna be looking forward towards that Cleveland and New York Knicks series, and that Philadelphia. If it holds up in the Miami series, I think those are going to be two physical and great series.
Coach, I'm very upset with you right now, and I'm gonna tell you why. You mentioned Thibodeau 4 times. Let me tell you something. I played against Thibodeau when he was at Salem State University. Look it up. That shows how old I am. So, you keep mentioning his name. I keep thinking, am I that damn old? But anyway, I hear what you're saying. I just want to get that point. I am. Damn, Thibodeau. Yeah. I played against a man at Salem State. Look it up. It's a true story. But anyway, go ahead, Cool. Do your thing.
I'm gonna head back over here to our comments here real quick. We're about to hit the West. Only thing I'm gonna say is I agree with you guys. Assessments. The one thing that I would add about the Eastern Conference is it's a lot more cut and dry. You don't have a lot of teams like jumbled up. The top 4 teams are pretty much set, right? At this point, they're set.
Yeah.
You look at like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's where you kind of get about 5 games or so. Splitting them up. Then you got Indiana with an outside shot. And then you also have Washington. So you got a couple of teams still in it, but it feels more like seeding in the Eastern Conference. Whereas the West, there could be fluctuation from this week to next week, from this week to the middle of the week.
Yes.
Definitely in a few minutes. But I like Cleveland. I like the way the Knicks are playing lately, even though they're only 4-6 of the last 10. They really jumped up. They lost 3 in a row. I like Miami. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They've won 2 in a row. No one in the East has won more than 3 in a row going into the night. So that tells you how competitive it is there as well. I agree with Coach Dante. Number 1 and 2 is who we know. They are what they are. It's just a matter of Philadelphia's kind of separated themselves from everyone else with their play lately. They still could fall to 4 with Cleveland, but I don't foresee Cleveland or Philadelphia being lower than 4. No one's clinched their division list yet in the East. There are a few teams that have clinched in the West, but no one's clinched their division yet in the East. There's a couple teams that made the playoffs, of course, in the aforementioned Milwaukee, Boston, and Philadelphia. So we'll go back to the comments over here. So John asked a question about the West. He says, you think Lakers can end up with the 7 or possibly 6 seed come time for the playoffs? Rest of their schedule should easily win 6 out of 9. For me, I'll answer first. I just think some days everybody's playing. Some days guys are not playing. A lot of questions guys tonight. They show up. They let a lot of teams back in the game. A lot of times they get up on teams and then they allow teams to, creep back into the game. They're just not consistent enough to really climb that much. But anything can happen in the West if you're talking about 6 and down, just because of the way how tight it is. That's my co-host on my last show referred to. It's Nat Booty tight over there. So, I mean, it could happen, right? It would take some help from some other teams losing, but it could happen. Dallas seems to be doing everything they can to move down. So, you never know. What about you, Coach Dante? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, Dallas finds a way to shoot themselves in the damn foot each and every night. Want to sit up here and complain about a call in the third quarter where you got more issues than a damn call. How about stop somebody on defense? How about stop turning the basketball over? How about better shot selection? How about make a goddamn jump shot? So, but most importantly, play defense. They don't play any type of defense, and you're down big against Charlotte. So how's that supposed to help? How's that supposed to help you? So other than that, you want to complain, but you find every other way to shoot yourself in the foot and lose games that you shouldn't lose. Other than that, it's a big game, I believe, going on between the Lakers and OKC. OKC is a really good basketball team. You can't overlook Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Josh Giddey. Can't overlook those guys over there, man. Jalen Williams out of Santa Clara and another J-Dub out of Arkansas. You can't overlook those guys. Are very scrappy. They can play basketball, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is up in this game another level. I know the Clippers saying right now, wish we never traded him out, never got him up out the door. They would love to have him as of right now because they're the first team that actually had him before they traded him, gave him away for Paul George. But other than that, Phoenix gets healthy with a healthy Kevin Durant. They could be a problem, but the problem is Kevin Durant is never on the floor. He's not healthy. Sacramento, like the position they're in, and I think that's a team that can also lose a first-round matchup. I think that's a team that can also lose a first-round battle and get upset by a 6 seed that gets in. If Golden State is right, I will pick them over Sacramento because of the experience and stuff like that. But other than that, not sold on Minnesota at 37-37. Not sold on them at all. They look like they're gonna be in a playing game. Now New Orleans get Zion back. I think they can be on another level if they get Zion back. Brandon Ingram is doing a hell of a job, man. His first triple double. He's holding the fort down. They get Zion back, and Zion can stay on the court. I believe that team can give someone some trouble, first round trouble. So other than that, Denver, they've been struggling a lot lately. They've been struggling lately for the Denver Nuggets. But this late season, you're gonna have some struggles. Everything not gonna go gravy with you. Boston has some struggles. Milwaukee has some struggles. It happens. It happens to the best of the best. But when it matters, when you get into that playoff push. Now, Memphis is a dark horse team for the Western Conference Finals. Now that they got Ja Morant back, but other than that, interesting between 5 through 10. 5 through 10 is really interesting right now. It's really heating up. I think Phoenix will find a way to hold on to 4. They can lose 4, but I think Phoenix, if Kevin Durant come back on time, they can. I think he's out to the playoffs. I believe they can hold the fort down, and Devin Booker and Chris Paul can find a way to hold the fort down. I feel good about their shot with Kevin Durant coming back. But other than that, the Clippers been clicking on a lot of cylinders. Now you got an issue with Paul George being out. That's the problem. Paul George being out. But other than that, Memphis, Denver, Sacramento, feel good about them. The only difference, Sacramento can lose that first round matchup whoever they play.
All right, so we'll go back to some of Melvin's comments here, as we do highlight everyone's comments, no matter how ridiculous and blasphemous they are. It's just, it's part of being, good at what you do. So what we do know from history is that the playing style of primary scorer, also being the primary distributor, has only worked 4 times out of 75 years. You're on the wrong side of winning, homie. So it has worked. You acknowledge that. You don't know if it's going to work this year or not. And unless you're clairvoyant, you don't know what's going to happen in the future. So we can stop that there. All right. Here's when you call a troll, right? This is a troll comment. So if you're ever looking for the perfect example of a troll comment, you can just clip this, and this is exactly what a troll is. Robinson not a good enough defender for Spoelstra to play him. However, he defends better than Jokic. Go figure. Laugh out loud. We come to expect that from Melvin. What I'd like Melvin to also do is put in the comments who his team is. So I'd like to know who his team is. John Suggs, I don't trust Doc Rivers. Should you trust Doc Rivers?
I don't trust either. I don't trust him either.
You shouldn't. That means that you understand. You shouldn't trust Doc Rivers. Melvin also says it's funny the Sixers aren't an elite team, but 10 minutes ago you was telling me they were stacked and NBA had all of this help. Laugh out loud, flip flop. So
They're not an
again,
elite team. They're not an elite team. They're not.
so this is Melvin being a troll again towards Coach Dante.
All right.
Yeah. You have to let people be who they are, man. You can't change people.
Yes, sir.
Then another trollish comment. Jamal Murray got the Nuggets to the Western Conference Finals, not Jokic. Murray played out of his mind. They went in 2-3-1 holes trying to run the offense through Jokic. Murray dug them out. I'm pretty sure he meant Doug, but dug them out. Laugh out loud. So, I mean, all I can say to that is definitely a case of revisionist history. Jamal Murray did play well, won't deny that. But I don't know if you watched the same games I did, but Jokic made a lot of big plays and big shots in those games to help out as
Just
well. But I guess we're going to overlook all of that because
you just went by the points. Jamal Murray did light it up and had some 40 and 50-point games. But guess what? Jokic assisted most of those as well. And got some key rebounds and made some key plays. Also, Michael Porter Jr. did step up as well. So let's not act like Jokic didn't play a key role up in those situations as well.
Melvin can't act like Jokic didn't play the key role. He has to find some way. So then he says to Coach Dante, "Oh, now you like defense." Laugh out loud.
What's up with this dude, man? What's going on, man? That's crazy.
So we've got Mike on the mic. He says, "Hey fellas, you paid your dues." We're not gonna highlight Mike's next comment, but we'll go to this one that says he's a legend. He says Conman's a legend. I definitely agree with that. We're gonna cut that middle one out. I hear you, Mike, but we can't. We're not gonna do that one. So then Frankie Cruz says, "Mike on the mic. What does stuff being spent on hooker horrors?" Then Mike on Mike says, "I wake up in the morning and try and be like Coach Dante."
Okay. Don't do that, Mike. Mike, don't do that, man.
And then Frankie Cruz says, "Con Man is an inspiration."
Wow, that's cool.
Frankie says he wishes he had knowledge like Coach Dante.
Appreciate
Mike on the mic says he loves Con Man.
What's going on here, man?
Crazy.
Mike on the mic says, "Coach makes me question my basketball intelligence. So smart."
Like, chill out with that, Mike. Chill with it.
Then we get back to our troll guy again. Defensive turnovers again, huh? Jokic is top 5 in turnovers, and we all know he's not a good defender either. It's funny the things y'all preach about the good team should have Jokic, don't have as a leader. Laugh out loud. This is too easy. Just anything Melvin posts from now on, you could just consider that troll. So Frankie says, "Bro, who else can have gray hair and still be sexy?" Then Frankie says, "Coach makes me not want to watch basketball anymore. I don't know anything about that sport." And then Melvin says, I don't have a team. I enjoy good basketball. Whoever's playing good basketball, I enjoy watching. Yeah, one of those. I don't have a team, guys.
So Jokic don't play good basketball in your mind.
Yeah, last playoff, Jokic had 2 games with a plus minus of -26 and 19, with 3 games with 7, 5, and 6 turnovers. Never reached his average in assists. It was being guarded by Draymond Green. Yeah, that is true. That's the first factual thing you said all night. And then Mike says, "Have you been hacked?" We'll see. It's borderline. We ain't quite gotten to hack yet, but we borderline. So we'll keep an eye on that, Michael. We'll definitely keep an eye on that. So Coach Dante so eloquently gave us his thoughts on the Western Conference, Con Man. So we are moving to the West. So give us your thoughts on the essentially the top 6 teams out the West.
Well, what's really interesting, you're going with the top 6 teams. I was going to go a little further, but the top 6 teams.
You can go a little further down if you want to.
Coach, the only reason why I brought that up is because you got teams from 5 to 12 I mean, you got
Yeah,
Clippers
that's fair because it is
35.
hard to kind of. Yeah,
You got 5
you're
teams
right.
with 37 losses or 6.
Mhm.
So that's going to be interesting. Anything can happen. There's still, 9, 10 games left during the regular season. So anything can flip flop. We already know
Yep.
what we got in the East. The West, you have no damn idea what's going to happen. Now, I know you're a Denver fan, cool, and I'm not trying to, but
Oh no, you good?
they've
Speak
been
your
at the
truth.
top. Oh, no. They've been at the top all year long. People need to recognize that. They've been there even through the injuries, through thick and thin. They've been there. Guess what? They're gonna be a team to deal with. So I'm gonna leave that alone. Whoever that guy was talking about, he don't know what he's talking about. But getting back to the Memphis, I mean the addition of Ja back again. I think he's got a new focus. I think they're playing with again. They're dogs, man. They're young. They're hungry. They don't care about Golden State's championships. They're out there trying to send a message. And if Ja can come back and play, which he already did the other night, he looked fantastic on his way back. They're going to be a tough team to deal with. I am impressed with Sacramento. I mean, I don't care. No one thought they'd be this damn good. I mean, I had them probably at the bottom half of the Western Conference. And the way that De'Aaron Fox is playing, and I mean, Sabonis is playing out of his mind. And they got the old man doing this thing, have some bounce. I like the way they're playing. I think they're going to be a team to be dealt with as well. Phoenix Suns, I think they got to get more out of Ayton. I mean, he's doing his thing. He got the bag, but I think he needs to be more aggressive on the defensive end. I think he needs to be more of a rim protector. Seems like he's kind of soft when it comes to that. Phoenix Suns, it'd be nice. I know Chris Robinson is probably ain't watching. Should be on a damn show, but he's not watching. But I mean, I think that, Chris Paul ain't got much time. The window is closing very quickly,
Rapidly,
and
yes, sir.
I think they gotta play with some urgency. And then when they got KD comes back, could be very ugly. It depends upon how much. I mean, what's he played? Maybe 2 games, 3 games with him when he came back so far? He's going to have to become a major factor. But it's a nice person to have that you can lean on because he can play with any offense. You can put him in any kind of system. He's going to be unbelievable. So I think once they get him back, that's going to change things. I've been watching the Clippers, and let me tell you something. Paul George, he suffered that injury to the knee. I like the way they're playing. And then you go Westbrook getting 24 points last night. He played out of his mind. I mean, if he can pick his game up a little bit, I mean, like that, they're going to be a factor. Golden State. We already know their road record is horrendous, 9-29. So unless they get home court advantage or unless they make the adjustments, and I don't know if you all know, is Wiggins coming back? Do we all know if he's?
I don't think he's coming back. He's not coming back this season.
That's going to be a major factor because not only did he play so well offensively last year, he also played great defense. So I think that's going to be a major factor in how the Golden State Warriors do. Minnesota Timberwolves, they got the big man back. He looked good the other night. I thought he played pretty well. I don't think they're going to be a factor. Dallas, I don't know why they did what they did. I mean, Kyrie's probably, he's there for 1 year. We don't know what he's going to do. Who knows what? He don't know what he's going to do. And to put that much emphasis on that player, and so far it seems like when Luka and Kyrie played there, I think they're like 3 and 4 when they're on the court at the same time. And they made a good question. At the end of the game, who are you going to go to? You going to go to Kyrie? Or you going to go to? I don't think they know who they're going to go to. To me, you go whoever's having the hot hand. That's who you go to me. But I don't know how that goes in their system. The Lakers. And I'll end it with the Lakers. The Lakers, man, I like the adjustments they made. I like the players that they have. They have some young, hungry guys. They're playing out their mind as far as intensity. As a matter of fact, as of last week, they had the best defensive scoring range, if I'm correct. So I like that. Now the key is, fellas, when LeBron comes back. Right now, if you can see, Reeves is playing out of his mind. They're distributing the ball. He's scoring he's at a crazy rate. When LeBron comes back, who's ball dominant, how are they going to adjust to that? Or are they going to be able to adjust to that? Are they going to sit there and watch LeBron do his thing because he's ball dominant? So when he comes back, how are they going to be able to adjust? And my cousin AD, who knows if he's going to get hurt? He might get hurt coming out the car. So we don't know what's going to happen to him. You know, if he can be consistent and play, they have a great opportunity to go from the ninth place, which you're in right now, to maybe a third or fourth seed, maybe. I don't know. But I'm very anxious to see how they're going to play when LeBron comes back. Are they going to fall and defer to him? Or what's going to happen? Because you know, AD, when LeBron's out, he seems to play better. And when LeBron's there, he kind of defers to LeBron. When in fact, he don't need to defer to LeBron. He got to be the man. Because that's what he was there for. But anyway, I digress. That's why I'm taking on those first 7 picks in the West Coast. But I'll tell you what, to me, it's exciting. We already know what's going to happen in the East. We don't know. There's 8 games, 9 games left. Who knows what could happen? So I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait to see what's going to happen. The West is very interesting to me. Go ahead, Coop.
Yep, sure. So I just want to give a couple of stats here. Gene's not on here this week. He normally drops a few stats on us. I feel like it's my duty to drop a couple of stats here. And since there's been a lot of Jokic hate, I figured I'd set the record straight with the actual factuals and not just
I knew you was going to do it.
Yeah, someone's comment. So Jokic has 9.4 defensive rebounds for a guy that does nothing on defense. He does have 9.9 assists. He does have 3.5 turnovers. He's also top 25 in steals per game and 1.3. He also averages 0.6 blocks a game. These numbers are, all within your top 25, at those positions. So for a guy that doesn't do anything on defense, those seems like he's getting to the board on defense at a much higher clip than offense. He's getting over a steal a game. He's getting over half a block a game. It seems to be like a guy that, at least does something on defense. And let's be straight here. I'm not sitting here attempting to convince anyone that Nikola Jokic is a elite defender, right? But he can do enough on the defensive end to not be a liability to his team. And that's what people like Melvin don't want to, acknowledge about Nikola Jokic. He does do things. He does average over, a steal a game, over half an assist. Over half a block. These are not stats from someone who does nothing. And that's what was said earlier. He doesn't do anything on defense. So again, that's false. So I could break things down further, but that's not what I do. But I just had to throw a couple of stats there. So we know Denver's my team. It's very clear. As Coach Dante said, disappointed in the lull that we've had the last couple of weeks. We're only 5-5. We've won 2 straight. So that tells you kind of, bad stretch. Hopefully we're getting it out of our systems now so that it doesn't come to affect us, once we start this playoff run. We clinched the Northwest Division. Memphis Grizzlies have clinched the Southwest Division as well. So 2 divisions have already been clinched. Memphis is 3.5 games back. And then third place Sacramento is only 5.5 games back. So truthfully speaking, with 9 games left, Memphis, if we continue a downslide, does have a possibility of catching us. And if us and Memphis both kind of slack off, Sacramento's still there waiting in the wings. Sacramento's only 2 games behind Memphis, so we could see some shifting in that top 3. I know Denver's been there for most of the year, at least 1 or 2. I know there was a time in New Orleans early in the season was at the top, but Denver's been there pretty solid for most of the year in that top 2. But for Denver, for Memphis, for Sacramento, these are 3 teams at the top who haven't won a championship, right? Denver was there once before. They've been in the second round as well, but you've got to get, over that hump. You've got to get to the championship game to win it. And that, that's a fair argument against this current team, not just Jokic, but the team as a whole.
Mm.
But I think this is a year where some of that can be dissuaded. I don't think they have, for me as a fan, they don't have to win a championship, but you can't go out in the first or the second round. You need to at least, at the minimum, make the Western Conference Finals. Making the NBA Finals would be great. Winning would be wonderful, but there has to be progression, right? So that's why I look at for Denver. That's why I look at for Memphis, and I look at for Sacramento, especially Sacramento, who hasn't been in the playoffs recently. So if they end up matched up against Phoenix, that could be a nightmare matchup for them, because Phoenix with Kevin Durant can go out there and shoot on anybody, and a team that doesn't have any playoff experience to really lean on, that could be very detrimental to them getting out of the series. So I think, as Common said, if there was one of the top three that's going to fall for me, it would be Sacramento. Obviously, Phoenix, I question what they're going to do defensively, but I think they can outshoot a lot of the teams, so we're not as concerned with what they can do defensively until they get in a matchup with a team that can clamp down the shooters. Ayton has shown over the past couple of seasons he's streaky. He'll have some games where he does play well, where he seems engaged, and have games where he just kind of disappears. Consistency is definitely a problem for him. I think defensively, when you look at Phoenix as a whole, they don't really seem bought into even team defense at times. So that's something that can be concerning when you get into a 7-game playoff series, and the reasons why, certain teams, a team like Denver last year was only able to win a game against a team like Golden State because they weren't able to bring the same intensity defensively and pressure the best defensive players by being able to force them to play guys that were going to take them to task offensively. You look at the Clippers, it all depends on Paul George. If you can get Paul George back with the rest of that lineup, I think you have a chance to at least win a series in the playoffs. When I talk about Phoenix and Sacramento, I'm talking about obviously second round if they were to, match up or further down the line, the playoffs. But I think that would be if that was a matchup, that would be one that would be interesting for Sacramento. Sacramento right now at 3, we know who they'd be playing. That would be Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a tough matchup as well. But being fair, even though they're getting a little long in the teeth, they're not the same team they were years in the past. Golden State's still a quality team. Golden State is still a team who, no matter who they play, you're going to have to bring it 4 times to win. You can't go out there and have an off game, not be serious, not be focused, not be your best, allow Draymond Green and his shenanigans to get in your head and expect to win that series. A big part of who they've been is the things that Draymond brings other than the basketball. And I'm not saying he never does anything on the basketball side, but defense, to get up in players' face, to scratching people's eyes, kicking people in the privates, yelling at people, getting texts acting a fool. But they've helped Golden State be successful. So while you can knock him to an extent, he's done what's needed to help his team win. Then, like Common said earlier, you look at 7, Golden State, 38 and 36. You look under them, you've got a whole bunch of teams with 37 losses and 35, 36 wins, 37, depending on how many games they played. So a couple of teams obviously have a few extra games to play, like Oklahoma City has an extra game to play. Utah has 2 extra games versus everybody else. So there's opportunities for teams to kind of juggle around a little bit. And you even look at Portland at 32 and 40. They're a couple of games out, but they start winning some games. Not being 3 and 7 the last 10, but winning some games, maybe being 6 and 4, 7 and 3, spinning that around. You can see Portland kind of slide their way back up in there, but they are starting to allow themselves to be pushed down a little bit. San Antonio and Houston are clearly out of it, but there's a lot of good things I think going on in the West because it's so competitive. It allows everyone to kind of have their opportunity to do what they need to do. So if you don't make it from the West, that's on you. You've had the opportunity all season. So if you don't make it, that means you couldn't close it out.
You got great opportunity now.
Yeah.
Cool. If I may, even
you
though
may,
I'm
sir.
not a Celtics fan, I got to give props where props is due. Jason Tatum scored 34 points, setting a new franchise record with his 40th 30-point game this season. Celtics beat Indiana 120-95. So you got to give Tatum his props for breaking a franchise record. So I got to give him props for that. And as I spoke before, I told y'all when Kyrie and Luka play together, they're not winning. Right now, they're getting beat by 20 points by Charlotte, and they're both playing.
You got the right to complain, but you can't go out there and beat Charlotte.
Right?
20 points
Come on now.
in the third quarter, on complain to the officiating, but you can't get out there and you can't stop no damn body from scoring. That's a shame. That's embarrassing.
It
And,
is.
hey, they don't deserve to make the playoffs. They don't deserve to make the playoffs. Down by 20 points versus Charlotte, they don't deserve to make the playoffs. And then, like I always say it, well, regardless if it's NFL, baseball or whatever sport, down the stretch, you don't want to play teams, have to play teams, like the Houston Rockets, the Charlotte Hornets, or teams that is out of the playoffs.
San Antonio, yeah.
San Antonio. You don't want to have to play teams like that when you're in the playoff stretch, because those young guys, they don't come out there and play. And it could be guys on the team, that got something to play for and playing for a job. And those are the teams you don't want to see. And right now, Dallas don't want to see either of those teams. They don't only want to see a very great team. But right now, losing to Charlotte definitely not going to help them. But you got the right to complain to the referees and do this, Luka Doncic, and your team struggling against Charlotte. Your team struggling tonight against Charlotte.
And also, too, fellas, Kyrie was in a great situation with the Celtics. He broke camp there. Then he go to Brooklyn. We all know what happened there. So what do you think is going to happen this year after the debacle that they're playing with right now? What do you think he's going to do? You think he's going to remain in Dallas? So they went and put their emphasis on getting Kyrie to make them go over the hump, and that ain't going to work out. He's going to be out of there. Dallas is just a mess right now. I'm sorry. I think this is a mess right now. I don't know.
You're not wrong. I mean, but there's a lot of teams that really kind of bank too much on guys, and you're not looking at the history of the player. If you've had a guy that's had issues in multiple places, and the issues aren't the play on the court, but the other things, right? And you're going to bring him into your locker room, what do you think is going to happen?
Yep, that's true.
You don't, right? Yep. You don't put a snake in a room full of rats and expect all the rats to be there when you come back.
Right? Exactly.
The snake is eating some of them rats. You feel me? That's going to happen.
That's correct.
And that's kind of, that's what they've done. And I don't understand why Dallas made the move. And I say when they made the move to put butts in seats, it makes sense to make people focus on you, to give you publicity. It makes sense, but none of it's going to be good. And it's not going to help you, be a better team with Kyrie Irving. He's past that point in the career where he's worried about, to me, from what I see from him, from what he says, the nonchalantness he kind of has, he's past that point where he's worried about that particular piece of it. He's more focused on Kyrie and what's the next move for Kyrie and what's best for Kyrie. And honestly, I mean, he's won a championship. I can't 100% say that I fault him. The way he goes about it, I fault him. But the thought process, if that's how you choose to go, that's how you choose to go. So, guys, we'll hop back over in the comments. And I want to appreciate everybody that's been hopping in the comments, man, because the comments have been popping tonight. And I definitely appreciate that. Enjoy that. Absolutely. So Melvin says, Jokic plays great basketball. I'm not denying his greatness. I'm just pointing out where he is not so great. I love Jokic. All right. So Brett says, are we going to judge Jokic on last playoffs when he had a starting lineup of Morris, Rivers, Jeff Green, and Aaron Gordon? Not many stars that could do anything with that lineup. So, of course, Melvin, yes, we're going to judge him on that. We're not going to judge him on anything but that. Man, that's what we've come to see from Melvin tonight. So are we surprised? Melvin showed us how he feels. John says he thinks the Suns dropped to the 6th spot. Brett points out that Jokic put up 30, 12, and 6 on the future champs with all of the legit scoring options hurt. He did what he could. Melvin responds, his team needed him to stop someone and score more. The stat line looks pretty, but the game looked ugly. Go look at KD's stat line against Boston. It looked good, but we all know it was ugly. I don't think you could do much more than that. It's a guy to put up 30, 12, and 6. Personal opinion, but definitely not Melvin's, but mine. Durant should be back soon. It sounds like so. That'll help tons. He was referring to the conversation we're talking about. At that time, we're talking about the Phoenix Suns. Melvin, how much more do you want him to score? The Nuggets team was just hilariously outgunned. Nothing Jokic did would have caused the outcome to flip. Rivers and Morris could stay in front of anyone either. It wasn't just strictly Jokic getting attacked in the paint and roll issue. Melvin says, Brett Gardapi, how much can he score? Giannis dropped 55 in the finals and his team needed them all. So he goes back to, are you saying Jokic is a good defender?
Oh.
Yeah.
It's
So
not at like Drew Holiday in that finals didn't lock up Devin Booker when he mattered the most and Chris Paul. Let's not act like Drew Holiday didn't do that. Let's not act like Chris Middleton didn't hit big jump shots. We did get the Giannis scored 55, but let's not act like the Bucks won Game 6 without Giannis against the Hawks. Let's not act like that. They won 2 games in that series without Giannis versus the Atlanta Hawks. Let's not act like the Bucks didn't do well without Giannis in Game 6. And also, Drew Holiday was able to. He didn't shoot well, but he was able to impact the game on the defensive side of the basketball as well.
Bobby Portis, Brooke
Yep.
Lopez, same
Yep.
type of thing. Big bodies. PJ Tucker, who gives you hardly anything offensively. He was able to impose his will on players as well. So a lot of different pieces that were there to help out. It wasn't a one-man show.
Now,
go ahead,
if you
Carmen.
mind me, I want to interject something. How much y'all take on this? Now, we've been talking about Denver, Philadelphia, Milwaukee. Now, I'm going to ask you all a question. You know, what stays in people's minds is what happened recently. Monday, the 27th, Philly goes to Denver and beat Jokic. Okay. The following Sunday, Embiid against Giannis. What do you think those matchups mean to the MVP consideration? I know
Jokic and Giannis play, I think, tomorrow or Sunday, one of these days. They play like coming up.
All right, so my question is, with those matchups, do you think that will have an impact on the MVP consideration or vote? Not that it should, but do you think it might?
For me, I think it will in public opinion. But I think for the people that are actually voting, they're looking at the entirety of the season, right? So if you have a guy that, I'll give Jason Tatum as a perfect example. There was a point in the season where most people felt like Jason Tatum was going to be the MVP at the beginning of the season. But several issues have caused him to fall out of that top few players. There's still a lot of fans that still feel like he's in that conversation, right? But I think he's that next guy, I would say, out of the top 3. I think the head-to-head matchups are great for if you're a fan of one guy and he dominates the other guy, or he has a better stat line than the other guy. So you could say, Embiid had 40 points and Jokic only had 20 points. So Jokic had 35 points, 15 assists, and 20 rebounds. So he's a better player. He should be MVP. It matters to me in the course of like the entirety of the season, right?
Exactly.
We talk about what a guy does in the playoffs. That doesn't affect you being MVP, because MVP is not a playoff award. You have a finals MVP. You have to make it to the finals. I think regular season, it has some bearing, right? So if we let's say we go into this, I will say this is where I would say some of these matchups matter. If you have, let's say, Embiid and Giannis as 1-2, and it's not really a difference, then you look at their head-to-head matchups, and obviously the latest one of the season you're going to look at the most. Does the win matter as much, or does the player having the better stats matter? Because you could go in and have Embiid outplay Jokic and then they lose. Or you could go in and have Jokic outplay Embiid, but they lose. You could have Giannis outplay them both and lose, or them both outplay Giannis and lose. Is it a combination of if you win the game and you have the better stats, or is it just having the better stats, or is it winning the game? What really does the people?
If you win,
if you win,
I mean, that's what we feel like it should be.
Yeah, I mean,
you guys and me,
obviously better. No matter if Joel Embiid outplayed Jokic or not, If you win, it matters. If Jokic get that win, that matters. If Jokic get that win.
I
Check it
agree
out.
with that. That's what
They
we
may
believe.
win the
What I'm
battle,
saying.
but who wins the war?
But
They may
see,
win the who wins the war.
But see, you got a lot of these guys out here running around talking about the stats. Even though he lost, Joel Embiid had 45 points and 10 rebounds and 5 blocks. So that means he's a better player because he had a better stat.
No.
I agree. I don't care. Like for me, it's the win that matters the most. If your team is there and there's an equal team and you win, that's what matters the most.
Absolutely.
Now, if there's one team that's head and shoulders above the other, and in the team that has the MVP candidate because of injuries or whatever, and he still plays near the same level as the other guy, then that matters to me as well. But if you're pretty even, both of you have everybody there, and you beat the other team, then I think that matters.
Absolutely. Case closed. It's a wrap.
We'll go back to Melvin here. Oh, Coach Guys, do you have something to say, sir?
You say I got something to say? Well, like I say, man, I think they both great players, and I'm not denying that I did, pick Joel Embiid the MVP. But at the end of the day, again, if you was to tell me that Jokic is better than Embiid, you would not get an argument out of me at all. I wouldn't be mad if Jokic win it again this year. But I mean, again, you're gonna say you got a lot of people gonna say, hey, Embiid got robbed, the same old stuff, and they're gonna start calling Jokic an overrated type player, which is he is clearly not. He's clearly shown that he means a lot to his team. And if you want to throw in the turnovers, then that's fine. But to say he doesn't play an ounce of defense, people don't know that rebounding is a part of defense. That's why it's called a defensive rebound. That's why it's called a defensive rebound for some. So that is dealing with a part of defense. Yes. Averaging a block a game is dealing with some part of a defense. That don't mean he's an elite defender, but he plays good enough defense to not be a terrible defender. He plays good enough defense. Yeah. So we're not saying he's an elite defender. He's not on a Joel Embiid level as an elite defender. But again, if you want to point out the same thing that the only reason Joel Embiid is better because of defense. Well, Jokic is a better passer. Jokic is a better passer than Joel Embiid. He can rebound. Jokic is in double-digit rebounds. He averaged down in double-digit rebounds. So, hey.
He actually does average double-digit rebounds. He's he actually averages more rebounds per game than Embiid.
So if you want to put that, if you want to say he's a better rebounder, you can say that. Since you want to say he's the only thing that he doesn't have is defense, and he doesn't play defense better. Well, that's two things he's doing right now better than Joel Embiid. Rebounding, he passes better. He passes better. So hey, you want to use the only that he only plays defense as a narrative to put him over. Well, hey, like I say, he averaged more rebounds, averaged more assists. He sets his teammates up in a higher rate than Joel Embiid. So hey, I mean, you gotta keep that same energy, man. You can't just go one-sided in one way.
I agree with you guys. And check this out. Who won defensive player last year?
Was it Rudy Gobert?
Marcus Smart.
Marcus Smart, okay.
How many block shots you ever see him have?
Not that many. He don't.
Draymond, how many block shots you see he have? So I think block shots are kind of overrated. You know what I'm saying? If you go by that stat. So I think block shots are overrated. Just because you block a lot of shots doesn't mean necessarily you playing deep. Because first of all, you got the man-to-man concepts and you got the team concepts. How you help out. So a lot goes into playing defense than just blocking that damn shot. Quite a skip.
And you should better block a damn shot if you're helping on the weak side. You should be able to do that.
Exactly.
Should be able to do that.
Yes, I agree.
Or get a chase down block. If I'm 7 foot, you should better chase somebody goddamn down.
I agree. I'm with you.
All right, and then Melvin also says here a couple more comments. He says, "Case closed. He is an elite defender, but elite offensive player only versus an elite offense and defensive player, and they both have the same team record is a no-brainer." Like y'all said, this doesn't include the fact that one is a better rebounder than the other on offense and defense. One is get steals at a better clip, which is more difficult for 7-footers.
Mm-hmm.
One has a epic advantage as a facilitator. So yeah, he's got more turnovers, but that's because he's facilitating the offense a lot more than the other is. So there's a lot of more factors that just go into it: elite offense, elite defense, and when you don't get as many rebounds defensively, you don't get as many steals defensively. You do average about a block more per game, but that's about the only defensive category that you're above the other person in. It questions that elite defender versus guy that doesn't play any defense narrative. Just based on the stats. Jokic is above average defensive player. This is Brett. Average defensive presence. The issue with him is he's just not a rim protector and is slow-footed, which isn't ideal for a center. He gets mad deflections and steals, tends to get to the right spots on defense, and he's just not a vertical presence at the rim. I've said that for years. He's better now that he's lost weight, but still, he's not a guy that's going up and block a lot of shots, but he does get a lot of defensive rebounds.
Yep.
9.5 a game, even with those
And
limitations.
he does put effort. He does put effort to what he do. So you can't say he's a terrible or a horrible defender. He does put the effort in defending. So he's not a bad overall defender. He's not that bad of a defender. He's not the worst defender in the damn league. Like you're trying to make it seem like he's not the worst defender.
Yeah. And Brett also says Melvin Wall Giannis also dropped 44 in Game 6 against Boston, and still they couldn't win. Unfortunately, sometimes it just doesn't work as easily as just score more, coming from a Bucks fan. So then, of course, Melvin has more to say. Melvin, a 7-footer that can't protect the rim or guard on the perimeter. What's left on defense? Come on, bro. Just call a spade a spade. Thus, conversation would be so easy if people stop trying to be right or be biased. Why are we going back and forth if Jokic can play defense or not? It's funny because that really applies to you, Melvin. Especially the last part. If you rebound better than a guy, you get more steals than a guy. He gets more blocks than you, but that's the only thing that he actually does better statistically. I don't see how one's head and shoulders so much better than the other. What you see on the court looks better from one, obviously. One plays a different style. He's more athletic, but what he actually does for the team is what matters. All right, so then Melvin has more to say, of course.
My man, Melvin.
So Melvin says, Brett Gardapi, he needed more. End of story. It's the simple when you don't try to make excuses for guys.
Can I just interject something?
You sure can. There's so much that can be interjected by that.
I'm going to keep it real. Melvin, Denver's 49-24. They're in first place. They've been there the whole damn year. What else you want? Give the man his props. Let it go, Melvin. At the end of the day, it's about winning. Denver's 49-24. They've been on top of that division all year long. With and without injuries, healthy and not healthy. At the end of the day, isn't that what's most important? And you hear talking about individuals. At the end of the day, it's about winning. It's about, first of all, it's not a one man, it's a team. You build a team. And I think that's more important than all these individual stats. Because my man Will Chamberlain had more individual stats than anybody in the goddamn world, and he only won 2 titles. So, you know what I mean? At the end of it, it's a team. You go out there, it's a team. It's a team game. This ain't tennis or golf.
So a while ago, he says the score is 97-9. The Mavs are on a 10-0 run.
This ain't boxing when you just have an
exactly. Damn right. That's ridiculous.
So Brett exits the conversation by saying, Melvin Wall, it is what it is. Excuse me. Clearly, you just want to pin the loss against the Warriors just on Jokic, do you, sir? He pretty much does. So then he says, Brett Gardapi, I'm not pinning the loss on anybody. I'm just not making excuses for the star player. You're pinning the loss on them, sir.
Yes,
you can't have it both ways. Yeah, you can't have it both ways. You're saying he's the reason. Don't do that. Don't do that, Melvin. So there's one thing that I've always said, and this is a pun because we have a show with this, but I've said this even before the show. You have to draw a line in the sand, Melvin. And you have to pick a side. You've picked the side against Jokic for 95% of the conversation. So we don't want you trying to dibble a foot over the line on the other side now. Stay over there where you was at, but keep the same energy when talking about everybody else. So every team that doesn't win a championship, keep the same energy.
So none of the second round. So you want to pin everything on Jokic. None of the second round losses is on Joel Embiid, right? Since you want to pin it on
No,
Jokic.
they're not on. No.
Joel
It's
Embiid.
only Jokic.
So are you gonna say Joel Embiid team was a problem when he was getting his ass kicked in the second round? Constantly. But Jokic becomes a problem against the Warriors when he clearly wasn't the problem. When he clearly done everything he could and got one game, and you still criticize him from doing all he can. But Jokic, Joel Embiid get a pass for losing the second round 6 straight years in a row and not making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So Joel Embiid gets a pass, right? You get a pass, right?
Jokic. It's nobody else, coach. That's what you're missing. It's all Jokic. If Jokic does it, it's wrong. It's terrible. But everybody else could be judged differently. That's Melvin's logic based on his comments.
That's nah.
All right. So then Melvin also says, I haven't heard one player say anything bad about Kyrie as a locker room guy or a teammate. I'm not even going to touch that. That you clearly, bro, you wild. That's all I can say. That Melvin Wall, it's the take that Jokic plays absolutely no difference is what's wrong. He clearly makes an impact, just not in the way a traditional center does, getting deflections and being a great rebounder. He has his limitations, but he at least tries to make an impact. He doesn't want to hear that, Brett, because it doesn't feed into his narrative. All right, and then John says, you think Damian Lillard will finally get a new team? Think he's a free agent come 2025? John, I hope, beyond hope, that Damian Lillard finally goes somewhere and tries to win a championship. I mean, I get the whole, I want to be the guy here. I want to spend my career here. But Dame, go get your ring, my dude, because you are probably the best player in the league right now that doesn't have a ring.
That's a good, John, great question. Like who said, I mean, he deserves to get a chance at the chip. I just don't think he's going to go. I think he's going to stay there. It's sad. I don't think he's going to go. I think he's already had the many opportunities to go. He got his bag. I don't think he's going to go. It's going to be a sad situation if he don't get a chance, opportunity to get that ring because he deserves it. And you got to respect his loyalty, but I don't think he's going to go. He just ain't that dude. Yeah. He ain't that dude. It's like Beal. Bradley Beal had many opportunities to go elsewhere. He just ain't that dude. It is what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely something on the, on those guys having that loyalty that a lot of guys don't have. Philly Sports Talk, thanks for checking in. Says, what's good, guys? John Suggs says, correction, 26-27 season. Our boy Melvin Wall. But you don't play it all. When you don't play all the important roles on offense, your teammates can help you like that. I love that y'all understand the concept of not having a one-man show when it's Giannis, but praise Jokic for doing it. So, Melvin, I guess you're not understanding any of this conversation. Maybe we're not making ourselves clear. So let me try a different way. In the concept of basketball, which is not a one-on-one sport, which is a team sport, you build a team, players play to the deficiencies of their teammates. There are defensive deficiencies of Nikola Jokic and every NBA player. Exactly. You build a team around that player to compensate. If he's a great offensive player, you put more defensive 3-and-D shooters around him if he's a big. If he's a wing player, you put bigs around that get rebounds, clog up the lane, play hard defense. You build the team by taking the pieces that you have and fitting them together in a way that's successful for the team. Every team knows that. No one's saying that Jokic is a one-man show. What we're saying is you're harping on a year where he didn't really have any help and he dragged the team to the 6th seed, won a game against the champions and lost. Yes, he lost. Yes, he didn't have all his pieces, but he did lose. We're not saying that he didn't lose. What we're saying is you're sitting here acting like he was supposed to go out there and score 45 points, 20 rebounds, 30 assists, block 15 shots against the Golden State Warriors and find out a way to win. Just stop that. That's what we're saying. That's what our beef is. Our beef is not the fact that he's not the best defender in the league. We all know that. We all know that there's deficiencies. So he gave us an update. The Hornets 95, Mavs 90. This was about 10 minutes or so ago. Then he says, stop dancing around the obvious. Jokic is not a good defender. No one's dancing around that.
We're going to go this all night?
We've never danced around that. Brett, RP did comment smart for you. Offense plus defense trumps elite offense only. If we are going based on the most elite two-way player with the best record, Giannis is winning his third. But again, Brett, he can't because it has to be Joel Embiid. That's the only thing that Melvin believes. Philly Sports says facts, but there are times when he gets beat. He resorts to a kickball violation, which he leads the league in that category. Not sure who he's talking about there. It's about 10 minutes, about 6 minutes ago.
Talking about Jokic, I believe.
Oh, he might be. He says it's a team sport. There's no I in team. But as Kobe said, there sure is an MF in me.
True that.
And then Philly Sports also says, don't get me wrong, Jokic is talented, but to be honest, Embiid and Jokic have different styles. Agreed.
Yep.
Brett says Dane to Milwaukee. Hey, Brett, I ain't gonna knock you, bro. I ain't gonna knock you. And then Brett also says, if basketball was a one-on-one sport, Wilt would have been the one with 11 rings and not Russell.
Correct.
And then Philly Sports says loyalty can get you so far in the NBA, but I think Lillard should realize that he doesn't have that lunchtime left.
I know.
I think he meant much. I agree.
I know.
So John wants you to know that Texas is up 30-18, Coach Dante.
Let's get
and then Brett says he would love to put up the Wilt.
Right now.
I know you are.
And Brett says he would love to put up the Wilt 50-25 numbers to win that series. Laugh out loud. All right, so that's the end of our comments so far. So we did get to the bottom, gentlemen. A lot of interaction tonight. We love it. Very exciting.
Love it.
More people to come, even those that have a difference of opinion, no matter how gregarious and outrageous it is, man. Hey, it's still comments, right?
Yes, sir.
You got to be watching us to give outrageous comments. So appreciate you.
Yes.
So we'll basically we can move the projecting the last teams in the Eastern Conference. We'll just do East and West next week. We'll just project the top 10 in the East and West based on what we think will happen the rest of the season. And then I'll just ask you guys, who, in your opinion, is the NBA's most improved player this year?
All right, Coach, let me start off with this one. I think it's a two-way tie right now. I mean, you got Marketing from Utah who's playing out of his mind. Again, Chicago didn't get no burn. Cleveland really didn't get no burn. Now he's getting a chance to expand his game, and he's playing phenomenally. And I'm gonna say something that might get some more comments back. I'm gonna go with Julius Randle. My man put up a 57-piece the other night. He's playing, again, another individual that plays every damn game. He go out there and does his thing. He got booed out of New York City, if y'all remember last year. He came back with a new, renewed effort and consistency. I like the way he's playing. He got to chill on the damn technicals. But other than that, I mean, his aggression, the way he's playing the game now, I think he needs to learn how to go to his right. He likes to go to his right and fall back on his left. To me, he's got to be more a little bit ambidextrous to become a true scoring threat. But right now he's playing well. And if you want to talk about the most improved, you look at his numbers, not all about numbers, but if you look at his progression, I think you got to go with either Randle or Markkanen. Those are my choices. But if I had to pick one, I'm going to go Randle.
John Suggs agrees with you, Con man. He says Julius Randle. He also says Jalen Brunson.
Who?
So the only reason I would say not Jalen Brunson is because in limited minutes last year he balled, right? He
especially in
just
the
didn't get
playoffs.
he just didn't get as many minutes because he was basically Luka's backup and sometimes backcourt mate. He deferred a lot. So I think his numbers have improved, but I don't think he's improved that much. It's just been the added ability of being that number one guy. That's the only reason. But if we're just going by raw numbers, you definitely would have to include Jalen Brunson in that conversation. And then, Coach, who you got?
I got one of my favorite players in the league, man. He's a sharpshooter. He's a sharpshooter. He's also can play defense. Not just a sharpshooter, but he can also drive to the rim. I got my guy, my boy, Desmond Bain. Desmond Bain from the
Nice.
Grizzlies, man, averaging down to 20 points per game as a sharpshooter, but he's also big. He's strong. He can get to the rim. He has more athleticism that you can think of that you don't know of, and he's really a good piece to help this Memphis Grizzlies team. And he's very physical. So my boy Desmond Bain is to me is improved player.
I can't argue with that. No
It's not a
argument.
bad choice.
No.
Brett says he likes Laurie or Randall. Shout out to Desmond Bain for his play. So he kind of agrees with you as well. So John stole so I had two. So my two were Laurie Marketing because I love what he's been able to do. And when I look at the role increase as well as the play and not getting the opportunity before it. I think when you put all those things together, definitely Laurie Marketing. But we see a full season out from under the thumb of LeBron James has been very beneficial to Kyle Kuzma. So I actually had him as my most improved player. He's solid. He was consistent for the Washington Wizards team. He obviously didn't take them as far as they needed to go, but I think he's very improved numbers-wise, role-wise, mentality-wise, leadership-wise. I think everything about him as a player has made great strides being on this Wizards team. And then also, Brett says, look out for Mikal Bridges for the award next year. See, I tell you why I don't think Mikal will get it next year because he's going off this season. So I think unless they bring it, I don't know. I just don't see a way he gets it next year. But I will say, Brett, he's definitely going to continue to be as good as he's been in Brooklyn, I think, with that role. You know how some guys, you give them the opportunity and they just fly, and some guys you give them the opportunity to fall on their face. Bridges has definitely taken the opportunity and flown. So I think he'll continue to do that. So I'll go ahead and get things wrapped up here, gentlemen. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. I appreciate everyone in the comments because, hey, that means you're watching, that means you're interacting with us, that means you're hanging out with us. Have a difference of opinion, man. That's just welcome. We ain't gonna sit on here talking about trash and block you and all that because you don't agree with us, man. It's fine. It's all opinions, except for the facts. The facts are the facts. So we'll start with you, comment. Any last thoughts that you have for us before we wrap it up for the evening?
You know, that's why I love this show because we all can agree to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, the people who tune in can look and see, you know, that we know what we're talking about. And we let them be able to make their own opinion of what's going on. But I enjoy the show. I enjoy hanging out with y'all. My biggest thing I want to say tonight is the fact that I'm looking forward to these playoffs coming up. And I think, you know, our show is going to become even better. And hopefully you people keep tuning in and give us your opinion. And, you know, let's do the damn thing. So I'm very happy with the show and where we're going with the show. So that's what I got to say.
Fair enough, Coach. Any last words? So want to say, man, shout out to my the Con man. Got to get back on the Con Man show before the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Or when the playoffs
hey, we got Nick Archibald coming on, y'all. You know what I'm saying?
And shout out to Cool Man for having me a part of the players call and all that, man, and being on here with him. And man, we got some good basketball going on. We can't wait till we get into the playoffs. But let's go hook 'em horns right now, looking good. My ladies team, I almost had to call an ambulance because my ladies team just stressed me out so damn much. Physical basketball they played against Louisville, that wasn't even a fight. That was just like a pit bull going up against a Chihuahua. And guess what? Louisville was the pit bulls, and the ladies was the Chihuahuas. But other than that, my man's Longhorns team doing good. Let's hope we can continue that in the second half.
Well, if your women's team was Chihuahuas, then my men's team was Pomeranians. All right, Brett says Bucks and 6 is all I gotta say. Great show, guys. Had tons of fun interacting with everyone. And then John hits us with an NFL question here. He says, NFL thoughts. You think a team pick up Lamar? Imagine him on the Titans with Henry or the Jets if they don't get Rodgers. For me, 2 teams. Colts, Commanders. Keep watching. The reason I think the Commanders haven't done anything yet is the fluctuation in ownership is about to happen. Everybody reports that there's going to be new owners soon. So if you're the old ownership group going out, it would be like the biggest middle finger to sign a guy to a long-term deal right before new ownership takes over. So I think it kind of stepped back and said, since we sell the team anyway, let's let whoever comes in be the one to make that decision, unless they tell us beforehand they want us to do that. So that's why I haven't heard the Commanders at least talks about the Commanders, because you're not going into this season in the NFC East with Sam Howell. I'm sorry. I don't think Sam Howell is a horrible quarterback. We don't know what we get from Sam Howell yet. You know what you get from Lamar Jackson. You're in a division that has the MVP runner-up, one of the most improved quarterbacks in the league last year, and the Black Kirk Cousins. So you got to go out and try to, be successful there. So that's what I think. You guys have any thoughts on that? Go ahead.
I think Lamar, what ends up happening, I'm not a football guy, but what ends up happening is going to set a precedent, because if he can get what he wants without having an agent, it's going to change the whole trajectory of agents. So something's going down about that. If he can pull it off without having an agent, the agents are going to be going crazy. So I think he's going to end up remaining a Raven, because I don't know if it's collusion per se, but something's going on. You know what I mean? So, that man, MVP, former unanimous MVP, 26 years old, got the world by the balls. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but I hope that, he does what's best for him and his family. Hope everything works out. But if he ends up getting with his deal, which he might, he gets that bag, the whole landscape of the NFL is going to change, because what he's going to do is change the fact of getting guaranteed contracts. It's going to change the whole landscape.
And negotiating things without an agent.
Yes.
All right. So Michael says, great conversation. He enjoyed it. Appreciate you tuning in and hanging out with us, Mike. And hanging in with us the whole time. And those have been on a little while, but hey, it's a lot of good stuff. And then John Suggs says half-court shot for Texas. We saw when that happened. We saw Coach Dante when that happened. So good stuff there. Hey, so everybody, remember to check out Sports Empire Network. If you're watching us on another platform besides YouTube, make sure you check out the YouTube page. Like, subscribe, and share. Several great shows on the network. We got good content for you every day of the week. Just make sure you checking in. Make sure you subscribe and hitting that like button. Get them notifications, so when we start popping these shows, y'all gotta watch them. Yep. And as every week, man, appreciate the gentleman on here with me, making things happen. We're doing it. Join us next week. More basketball talk, and hopefully a lot more fan interaction. Even that guy that will remain nameless. All right, good people. See y'all next week.